In a dimly lit room, Ethan, a figure whose life feels fractured, kneels by a solitary candle, their trembling hands clasped tightly, whispering a prayer to an unseen force, as if searching for meaning. The air is heavy, thick with the tension of unresolved doubts. Shadows flicker violently on the walls, moving contrary to the flame's direction, stretching unnaturally, distorting. The candle's flame quivers, growing in height as if breathing. The floor beneath them vibrates softly, a low hum reverberating through the room. A cold sensation wraps around Ethan's chest. Suddenly, the candle bursts into a white-hot flame, blinding and cold all at once. Ethan looks up, fear and awe in their eyes, as a tall, shifting silhouette forms, its edges glowing like molten silver. No wind stirs. No sound of footsteps echoes in the room, only the weight of unseen eyes watching. The air crackles with an invisible presence. A voice, deep and resonant, booms inside their chest. You have been seen. The words, though spoken aloud, carry the intensity of a personal command. They feel the words imprinted into their very soul. The air begins to settle, yet Ethan's heart races with the weight of what just transpired. The figure's presence lingers like a suffocating fog, filling the room with a strange, intangible heaviness. Ethan's breath comes in quick gasps, each exhale sounding louder than the last. What they experienced or thought they did is almost impossible to process. They drop to their knees, their hands trembling in front of them. The reality of the experience sits heavily on their chest. Slowly, they whisper, barely audible. What does it mean? There's no answer. Only the echo of their own voice, returning to them from the shadows. They sit there, staring at the candle, now extinguished, the wick barely a smoldering ember. Was it a warning? A sign? Or something far more profound? Their mind races, unable to make sense of the encounter, yet deep down, something shifts within them. They sense the path forward is not something they control. It has been set. The only question that remains is whether they'll walk it. The next morning, Ethan wakes with a heavy heart. The events of the previous night, lingering in their mind like a haunting dream. They sit up, rubbing their temples, trying to shake off the vivid images, but the room feels just as unnerving as it did before. The shadows on the walls now seem to echo with the same unsettling energy that they felt during the encounter. Despite the silence, there's a hum in the air that seems almost too real to ignore. Ethan stands slowly, their legs shaky, and approaches the window. The outside world seems distant, but it's a world they can no longer ignore. As they stare out at the gray sky, a strange peace settles within them, though it is shadowed by uncertainty. The realization dawns. Something has changed. Their world, their life, their beliefs, everything has been disturbed. Their path forward is no longer a quiet journey, but one that demands attention. Ethan closes their eyes for a moment, and in that instant, they feel a connection to something far greater than themselves. What am I supposed to do now? They whisper. But again, the room answers in silence. Later that day, Ethan visits the faithful guide's home. It's a quiet, modest place filled with old books, candles, and the scent of incense. The faithful guide, a figure of calm strength, sits across from them, their eyes full of understanding. You are not lost, the guide says gently, but you must face what you fear most. The words feel both comforting and terrifying. Ethan wants to argue, to ask how the guide can know what they are truly feeling, but something in their heart knows that this is the truth they've been seeking. The conversation unfolds slowly, with the guide speaking in a voice that is both firm and tender. Ethan listens, but they can't shake the feeling that they are being called to something greater, something beyond what they can comprehend. But what? The questions swirl around their mind unanswered. How do I even begin? Ethan asks, their voice barely above a whisper. The faithful guide smiles, a peaceful yet knowing expression on their face. By trusting, they say simply, you start by trusting. As Ethan walks away from the faithful guide's home, the weight of the conversation presses down on them. The sky above has darkened, and the world around them seems to mirror the turmoil within. Their steps are slow, almost hesitant, as they walk through the streets of the quiet town. It's as if the world is moving on without them, while they remain suspended in the air, unsure of where they fit into the bigger picture. Their mind replays the words of the guide by trusting. How could they trust when everything they believed in was slowly falling apart? Doubt lingers like a shadow, but there's a flicker of hope, a spark that wasn't there before. They stop in their tracks, the weight of the world pressing against their chest. Maybe it's time, they think, taking a deep breath. But they aren't sure what that even means. All they know is that they've taken the first step, and there's no turning back now. Ethan's thoughts are heavy, and the weight of the night's events lingers in their chest. The visions have been persistent, even during the day. The symbols, the signs, the strange, almost divine messages. They feel like a calling, one they cannot ignore. The more they try to push these thoughts away, the louder the inner voice becomes. It's as if the universe itself is beckoning them towards something greater. They feel it deep in their bones. Their past has been filled with loss and doubt. But now, there's a stirring in their heart, something that wasn't there before. The world seems different, somehow, like the air around them hums with possibilities. Ethan looks around, searching for answers in the faces of the people who pass by, but no one seems to notice the change. It's not just the world that's shifting, it's them. They need to understand what's happening. They can't go back to their old life, to the life of doubt and disillusionment. The path forward is unclear, but they know one thing for certain. It's calling them. The next morning, Ethan returns to the faithful guide, seeking guidance on the strange experiences that have been invading their thoughts. The guide listens carefully, her eyes filled with understanding. "You are beginning to awaken," she says softly. "The universe speaks in ways we can't always understand, but you must be willing to listen." The words resonate deep within Ethan. Awakening. It's a strange term, one that feels both terrifying and comforting. They nod slowly, feeling the weight of the guide's words. "But how do I know what to trust?" Ethan asks, their voice shaky with uncertainty. The faithful guide smiles gently, her expression calm but knowing. "You will know by the peace it brings, not the fear." Fear clouds judgment. Ethan takes a deep breath, feeling a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, this path can lead them to something meaningful. That evening, Ethan finds themselves alone in their apartment, reflecting on the guide's words. They close their eyes and take a deep breath, trying to quiet their racing thoughts. As they focus, the world around them begins to fade. The sounds of the city, the hum of life outside, all become distant. In the stillness, Ethan sees flashes, vivid, powerful images, symbols, landscapes, and strange figures that seem to emerge from the shadows. Some are comforting, others unsettling, but all seem to be pulling them towards something. They open their eyes suddenly, feeling disoriented, yet strangely clear. What was that? Their heart races as they realize it wasn't just a dream. It was a vision, and it feels like the universe itself is trying to communicate with them. They don't know what it means, but the urgency to understand is overwhelming. The following day, Ethan walks through the park, trying to clear their head. The words of the faithful guide echo in their mind, urging them to embrace the journey, to trust in what they feel. They come to a bench, sit, and observe the people passing by, each with their own stories, their own struggles. Ethan wonders if they are the only one who feels as though they are standing on the edge of something vast and unknown. The sounds of the birds, the wind rustling through the trees, bring a moment of peace. For the first time in a long while, Ethan feels the weight of the world lifting, even if just for a moment. It's not a complete answer, but it's a start. They realize they don't need to understand everything right away. The path will unfold as it's meant to. For now, all they need to do is take the next step. That evening, Ethan finds themselves back at the window, staring out at the city. It's strange how the world seems unchanged, yet they feel different. The visions are still fresh in their mind, each one more vivid and real than the last. They wonder if they have been chosen for something greater. As they look out into the night, a sense of clarity washes over them. The fear that once held them back is starting to fade. The doubts that plagued their every step are now replaced with a growing sense of purpose. There's a quiet strength building within them, and for the first time they realize they might not be as lost as they once thought. The journey ahead will be difficult, but they feel ready. There's no turning back now. Ethan finds themselves standing at a crossroads, literally and figuratively. They stand in front of a grand, towering church, its old stone facade daunting. It's a place they've passed countless times, yet never dared to enter. Today, however, something pulls them toward it. The air feels thick with tension, as if the building itself is calling them. The closer they get, the more they feel the weight of their uncertainty, the overwhelming fear of what they might find within. They stand still, staring at the massive wooden doors, the weight of their past decisions pressing heavily on their chest. A voice in their mind whispers, "This is where it begins." But doubt creeps in. Can they truly take the step forward? The faith they've lost for so long seems like an insurmountable wall. Can they really trust again? As the wind picks up, they take a deep breath, pushing past the fear. Maybe this is what they need. The first step is always the hardest. Inside the church, Ethan walks down the long aisle, each step echoing in the vast empty space. The scent of old wood and incense fills the air. The stained glass windows cast colorful patterns across the stone floor, but it's the silence that overwhelms them. Every footstep feels like a weight, each one a reminder of how far they've drifted from their faith. They stop in front of the altar, feeling both insignificant and yet strangely connected to something greater. Their eyes fall on the cross, and for the first time in a long while, they feel a stirring in their heart. An old, familiar longing. They can't explain it, but it's there. The question rises, why did I leave this behind? Their mind floods with memories of disappointment, of betrayal, of an absence of answers. But now, standing here, they wonder if they've been looking in the wrong places. Could this be the answer? They don't know yet, but they're willing to search. Ethan walks out of the church, a flood of conflicting emotions coursing through them. The air feels heavier now, as though the weight of their past mistakes follows them like a shadow. They stop at the edge of the churchyard, looking back at the towering structure. "I don't know if I'm ready," they whispered to themselves. The skeptic's words from earlier in the day resurface. Faith is for the weak. You don't need it. You're strong enough to stand on your own. Ethan shakes their head, trying to push the thought away, but it lingers. The skeptic's words feel like an anchor, weighing them down, pulling them away from what they've just felt inside the church. How can they reconcile these two forces? Their heart longs for peace, yet the mind remains clouded with doubt. The path is unclear, and the internal struggle rages on. They turn and walk away, unsure of where to go next, but knowing they can't ignore the growing pull inside them much longer. Later that night, Ethan finds themselves sitting alone at the kitchen table, a half-drunk cup of tea in front of them. The room is quiet, the only sound being the occasional creak of the floorboards. Their thoughts whirl around them like a storm, the silence making the inner turmoil feel louder. They think of the skeptic, and their words echo like a voice inside their head. You don't need to believe in something you can't touch. The world is rational. Faith doesn't make sense, yet Ethan can't deny the pull they feel inside. The pull towards something intangible, something beyond what can be seen. Their hands shake slightly as they grip the mug, and the warm liquid offers little comfort. What am I supposed to do? They think. Ethan knows the answer isn't clear, and the fear of the unknown grips them. But deep within, something tells them they can't walk away from this journey. Not now. Not when the truth is so close. The following day, Ethan finds themselves in front of the skeptic's apartment, standing on the doorstep, hesitant. The words they exchanged still echo in their mind, pulling them in opposite directions. The skeptic believes in logic, in reason, and in the tangible world. But Ethan knows there's something more, something they can't explain, but can feel deep inside. They take a deep breath, preparing to face the one person who has always questioned their beliefs. The door opens, and the skeptic stands there, looking at them with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "What's this about?" they ask, their voice sharp yet curious. Ethan opens their mouth, but the words are stuck. What can they say to someone who doesn't understand what they're going through? "I need to talk," Ethan finally says. The skeptic steps aside, allowing them in, but the weight of their internal struggle feels heavier than ever. Ethan stands alone in a darkened room, their mind swirling with the weight of everything they've experienced. The air feels thick, charged with something they can't explain. Suddenly, a vision strikes them. A burst of light, overwhelming in its intensity. For a moment, the room seems to disappear, and they are no longer alone. The divine messenger appears, bathed in radiant light, its presence both calming and powerful. Ethan stares in awe, unable to speak. The messenger's voice resonates within their chest, soft but clear. "You have been chosen." The words send a shockwave through their soul. Ethan feels a rush of emotion, relief, fear, and confusion all at once. "Chosen for what?" they ask, but the messenger remains silent. Ethan feels the weight of destiny pressing against them, and for the first time, they realize they've never been truly lost. They've simply been waiting for this moment. As the messenger's words settle in their mind, Ethan begins to feel a deep stirring inside. The walls around them seem to fade away, and their sense of self feels fragile, as though they are on the edge of something monumental. The messenger speaks again, this time more softly. "You are part of something greater than you understand. The path ahead will be challenging, but it is necessary." Ethan's heart races. They want to ask more, but the weight of the vision makes them silent. In the quiet, they finally understand. They've been running from this moment for so long, afraid of what it means. But now, standing before the messenger, the truth is undeniable. They have been called. They have been chosen for a purpose far beyond their own understanding. The path forward is unclear, but one thing is certain: they cannot turn back. The vision fades as quickly as it arrived, and Ethan is left alone in the room once more. The heavy silence returns, but this time it feels different. There is an understanding within them now, a certainty that was absent before. The weight they've carried for so long feels lighter. They slowly stand up, their hearts still pounding, and walk to the window. The city outside looks the same, but to them is transformed. The doubt that once clouded their every step has lifted. Ethan's gaze hardens with new resolve. They are no longer running from their destiny. They are stepping toward it, even if they don't fully understand what it means. But they know deep within that they are on the right path. Ethan visits the faithful guide once more, seeking guidance after the vision. The guide listens quietly, her face serene but knowing. "The path ahead is yours to walk," she says, "but you are no longer alone." Ethan nods, understanding that the journey has only just begun. The sense of fear that once gripped their heart has been replaced by something new, something stronger. They feel ready to embrace whatever comes next, knowing that they are no longer chasing shadows. The light they've been searching for is now within them, and while the future is uncertain, they have the courage to face it. With one last look at the guide, Ethan walks out, their steps steady and determined, knowing they've found the direction they were meant to follow. As Ethan steps outside, the weight of the journey ahead doesn't feel as overwhelming. The world around them seems brighter, more vibrant. They are no longer a prisoner to their doubts and fears. With the vision of the messenger still vivid in their mind, they walk through the streets with purpose, each step more certain than the last. The path ahead remains uncertain, but Ethan no longer feels lost. They have found their direction, and while they know the road will be difficult, they are no longer afraid to walk it. Ethan stands at the edge of a precipice, both literally and figuratively. They've come so far, but the path forward is now shrouded in even greater uncertainty. The divine messenger's words echo in their mind. The path ahead will be challenging, but it is necessary. But Ethan is filled with a new fear, one that threatens to undo the progress they've made. Can they truly face what lies ahead? Doubt creeps in, whispering that they are not strong enough, that they will falter like before. The weight of the decision is unbearable. They look down at the ground, their heart heavy, unsure of what to do. For the first time, they question their ability to continue. But deep within, a small, quiet voice tells them to keep moving. They close their eyes, take a deep breath, and step forward, unsure of where the journey will lead, but knowing they cannot stand still. Ethan makes their way through a dense forest, the shadows of the trees stretching long across the ground. The sounds of nature seem distant, muffled by the weight of their thoughts. They are alone, walking deeper into the woods, and for the first time in a long while, they feel the full weight of their decision. The path ahead is unclear, and the doubts they've buried begin to resurface. The skeptic's words cut through the silence. Faith is a crutch. You don't need it. Ethan stops in their tracks, the words ringing in their ears. For a moment, they wonder if they've made a mistake, if they've been chasing something that doesn't exist. But as the wind rustles the leaves above, Ethan remembers the peace they felt when they first embraced this journey. They take a deep breath, their heart steadying. They cannot afford to turn back now. The forest clears, and Ethan finds themselves at the edge of a vast, empty field. The sky above is clear now, and a sense of stillness hangs in the air. As they stand there, they remember the words of the faithful guide. You are no longer alone. The message, once comforting, now feels like a challenge. Ethan realizes they must confront their deepest fear, being truly vulnerable. The fear of failure, of falling short, of disappointing those who have placed their faith in them. The weight of expectation presses down on their chest, but Ethan knows that to grow, they must embrace this fear. The journey has always been about finding strength through weakness, and now they must face that truth head-on. With renewed resolve, Ethan steps into the field ready to confront their deepest doubts. That evening, as Ethan sits alone by a fire, the crackling flames offer a strange comfort, but inside, they still feel a storm brewing. The confrontation with their doubts is far from over. They think of the redeemed soul who overcame their past despite the weight of guilt and shame. If they can do it, so can I, Ethan thinks, repeating the words to themselves. But the voice of doubt is relentless, echoing the words of the skeptic. Faith is nothing more than wishful thinking. You'll be disappointed again. Ethan clenches their fists, trying to block out the negativity. They know they must find their own path, one that doesn't rely on the opinions of others. They take a deep breath, steadying themselves. The fire before them flickers, its warmth offering a fleeting sense of peace. But it is enough. For now, it is enough. As dawn breaks, Ethan stands at the edge of a river, the morning mist still hanging in the air. The world is quiet, peaceful, but the battle within rages on. The weight of fear, doubt, and uncertainty presses down. But there is something else now. Hope. Ethan knows that this battle is far from over, but they are ready to face it. They step forward, walking along the riverbank, the cool water rushing by, carrying the remnants of the night's doubts with it. The journey isn't about finding answers right away. It's about continuing forward, one step at a time. And as the sunlight begins to break through the trees, Ethan feels the smallest spark of peace. They can't control what happens next, but they can control their next step. And for now, that is enough. Ethan stands at the base of a mountain, looking up at its towering peak. The path ahead is steep, rocky, and treacherous. It feels like the entire world is waiting for them to climb it, to face whatever awaits at the summit. The journey has led them here, this moment of reckoning. As they take the first step, their mind is clouded with doubt, the fear of failure creeping in once again. But the voice of the divine messenger rises in their mind. You have been chosen. Ethan clenches their fists, determined not to falter. The mountain represents more than just a physical challenge. It's the culmination of every fear, every doubt, every obstacle they've faced along the way. They take another step, and then another, their heart pounding with each movement. The climb is long, but Ethan is ready to face it. As Ethan climbs higher, the air grows thin and the path becomes more treacherous. Their legs ache, and their hands are raw from gripping the rocky surface. Doubt threatens to take over, and for a moment, they feel as though they might fall. They stop for a moment, breathing heavily, trying to steady their thoughts. The skeptic's voice echoes in their mind. This is pointless. You'll never make it. Ethan shakes their head, pushing the thought away. I have to keep going, they whisper to themselves, finding strength in the simple act of moving forward. They know the climb isn't just physical, it's spiritual. Each step is a reminder that they must keep moving, no matter how difficult it gets. Slowly but surely, they continue the ascent, the summit just beyond reach. The higher Ethan climbs, the more intense the physical and emotional toll becomes. They can feel their strength waning, but the summit is within sight. The wind picks up, howling like a beast, and the cold bites at their skin. With every step, it feels as though the mountain is testing them, pushing them to their limits. In those moments of struggle, Ethan recalls the divine messenger's words. Trust the journey. Ethan realizes that it is not the mountain they must conquer, it's themselves. The doubt, the fear, the guilt, they have all been holding them back. The summit is no longer just a destination. It's the point at which they can let go of everything that has weighed them down. With renewed determination, they take the final steps toward the peak. At the summit, Ethan stands still, their heart racing, their body trembling from exhaustion. The view before them is breathtaking. A vast expanse of land stretching out as far as the eye can see. The weight of the climb, of every challenge they've faced, finally lifts. But just as they feel the briefest moment of peace, a sudden powerful gust of wind knocks them off balance. They stumble, but before they fall, they catch themselves. It's a reminder, the journey isn't over. There's always something more to overcome. Ethan closes their eyes, the wind biting against their skin, and remembers the lessons they've learned along the way. I am strong enough, they think, and in that moment, they feel it. The fear has been replaced by strength, and the doubts by clarity. Ethan opens their eyes, gazing into the distance, ready to face whatever comes next. As Ethan descends from the summit, a sense of peace settles within them. The climb is over, but the journey is far from finished. They look back at the mountain, now distant behind them, and realize that they've changed. The doubts, the fear, they are no longer the same weight they once were. The path ahead is still uncertain, but Ethan feels ready. The wind whispers in their ear, carrying the words of the divine messenger once again. You have been chosen. Ethan smiles, feeling the truth of those words settle deeply within them. They are not the same person who began this journey, and they never will be again. They walk forward, knowing they are no longer alone, and that the path will continue to reveal itself step by step. Ethan walks through a quiet village, the sun rising over the horizon, casting a soft glow on the peaceful surroundings. The weight of the journey feels lighter now, almost as if the world itself is welcoming them back. They walk with purpose, no longer burdened by the doubts that once consumed them. The path ahead is still uncertain, but the clarity they've gained along the way gives them the strength to move forward. As they pass by familiar faces, they realize something. They no longer feel detached from the world around them. For the first time in years, they feel at peace with who they are. They stop for a moment, looking at the horizon, and whisper to themselves, "I've found my way." Ethan smiles softly, knowing that the journey is just beginning. But they are no longer afraid. Later that day, Ethan sits by a riverbank, watching the water flow gently by. The sound of the river is soothing, its rhythm calming. They remember the moment when everything changed, the moment when they chose to walk this path. I wasn't alone then, they reflect, thinking of the divine messenger, the faithful guide, and everyone who had helped them find their way. The journey was never just about them. It was about the connections they made, the people they met, and the strength they found in others. They take a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill their lungs, and smile softly. They've learned that it's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about continuing to walk forward, even when the road is uncertain. With that thought, they stand, ready to take the next step. As Ethan walks back into town, they pass by the faithful guide's home. The door is open, and the guide stands in the doorway, watching them approach with a knowing smile. Ethan feels a wave of gratitude wash over them as they stop in front of the guide. "I'm not lost anymore," Ethan says quietly. The guide's eyes sparkle with pride, her voice gentle. "No, you found your way, and it will continue to reveal itself one step at a time." Ethan smiles, feeling the truth of those words settle deep within them. They know the journey doesn't end here, it's just the beginning. They thank the guide, knowing that the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the connections made along the way will stay with them forever. That evening, as Ethan sits on a bench, watching the stars slowly emerge in the darkening sky, they feel a deep sense of peace. The struggles, the doubts, the pain, they are all part of the past now. They have faced their fears and learned that they are stronger than they ever imagined. The world feels vast, but they no longer feel small. For the first time, they feel connected to everything around them. The earth, the sky, the people they've met. Their journey is far from over, but the path ahead is clear. With a deep breath, Ethan whispers, "I'm ready for what comes next." Final morning arrives, and Ethan wakes up with the soft light of dawn filtering through the window. They stand, stretch, and walk to the window, looking out at the world beyond. Everything seems different now. The doubts and fears that once held them back are gone. They know the path ahead won't always be easy, but it is theirs to walk. The message of the divine messenger echoes in their mind. You have been chosen. Ethan smiles softly, knowing that they are no longer lost. They are ready. With one last look at the world, they step forward into the unknown, feeling the promise of new beginnings.